Welcome to the Week 8 edition of Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you are with us. I'm your host, Josh Kirby, getting set for another exciting week of high school football. A huge thanks to everybody who took the time to stop by the Week 8 edition of Kirby's Kickoff. We greatly appreciate all of the support. And to be honest, frankly, I can't believe the season's almost over. We're already into week 8, which is crazy to think about, but a lot of exciting action so far leading up until this point, and another full slate in our area to get you set for tonight's matchups. Let's first take a look at last week across the high school football week 7, that is. Warren County with their first win of the season against Manassas Park on the road. Things went right in the Warren County offense. Looked pretty good in a matchup, defensively holding Manassas Park to no points on the scoreboard, as Warren County looks to build momentum off a big 50-0 win as their first win of the season. The Skyline Hawks exploding on the offensive side of the football, a 3-game winning streak with a 38-7 victory over Fauquier. Strasburg all over Page County, 35-0. Central blanking Clarke County, 48-0. And it was an offensive shootout at the Ridge campus at Jameswood High School, as Jameswood defeated Millbrook 54-35. A couple defensive stops that the Pioneers were not able to get, but this game consisted of one punt and one turnover. Millbrook, unfortunately, in the fourth quarter, throwing an interception. But with one punt in this football game, you could only imagine how much offensive intensity that was on the football field that Friday night as the Jameswood Colonels defeated Millbrook. Owen Neal, spectacular, and you have the plethora of skill position guys for the Jameswood Colonels who really made an impact in this game as well. And that just, it's week in and week out. It seems like the Jameswood offense is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Millbrook's still doing some great things, but again, going back to those defensive stops, not able to get a lot of those. So Millbrook, that's why Jameswood got out to the 54 points, but still it was very competitive for the most part. And you love to see a high school football game with no punts. That's always great to see, because there's always action and no drive stalling where one team has to punt the football. So that was probably a very exciting matchup too, and an unexpected matchup as we turn the page. The Kettle Run Cougars all over the Handley Judges, 34-0. Yeah, Kettle Run about 125 yards of total offense. You would think that this game would be closer. Handley's defense was not the problem. Handley's defense looked spectacular. It started off this game with a short kickoff in a kick-catch interference penalty that went for 15 yards and set up Kettle Run in ideal field position to start this matchup. But Handley's defense holds them to a field goal. So they make a field goal there. Next set, I believe Handley, a drive stalled for Handley. They punted, or there was a blocked punt. I can't remember the exact sequence, but Kettle Run got the ball back. They were driving, and Kettle Run had to settle for another field goal because of Handley's defense, and they missed. So defense was not the problem, but there were 7 turnovers in this football game for the Handley Judges. Obviously, not something you want to see at all. And I know for a fact the Handley coaching staff under head coach Jake Smith is working to address what happened out there on Saturday. And they have a week till tomorrow, a week from this past game, tomorrow, as they're back at home to try to rebound from a tough 34-0 loss against Kettle Run. But I'm telling you, they're going to work to improve this because they have weapons. It's just there are too many costly mistakes that dug them in a hole, and they were not able to get out of. So with that, week 8 of high school football, here are the matchups. Sherando coming off a bye. They travel to Knoxville to face the Kettle Run Cougars. That should be a very exciting matchup to watch. The Millbrook Pioneers hosting the Skyline Hawks. Another fun one, I believe, as well. James Wood traveling up to face the Liberty Eagles. Clarke County hosting Page County, who fell to Strasburg last week. Strasburg hosting Luray. Warren County hosting Fauquier. And on Saturday, the Handley Judges hosting the Manassas Park Cougars. So with that being said, we are on to week 8 of high school football in the Shenandoah Valley and beyond. With that being said, there is so much more to come right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Throughout the show, you'll hear from Ryan Rutherford of The River 95.3, Dan Gloster, Winchester's Classic Country 95.7, in my interview with coaches from across the area as we get you set for week 8 here in mid-October. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kirby's Kickoff rolls on right after this. Guys, Josh Kirby here with my friends at Frederick County Parks and Recreation, the title sponsor of Kirby on Sports. Winter basketball, one of their most exciting sports leagues, tipping off here soon. Registration is open until November 10th. The Thanksgiving Day 5K, one of the biggest races of the year, and the New York City trip that Parks and Recreation offers each and every winter. If you're interested in any of those or even more activities that Parks and Recreation has to offer, you can visit their website at fcprd.net for more information. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. Week 8 of high school football. Millbrook hosting Skyline. On the call for that matchup, Ryan Rutherford, along with his broadcast partner, Randy Woodward, on the River 95.3 to take a closer look at this matchup. Ryan, my friend, Millbrook coming in at 3-4, a loss to James Wood in a mostly offensive battle. It looks like the Skyline Hawks heating up with a 38-7 victory over Fauquier at Fauquier to extend their winning streak to 2. Starting with the Skyline Hawks, Ryan, we saw this sort of last year dropping the first 2, 3 games and getting on a hot winning streak? Could this be the making of another similar season for this Skyline Hawks team?
I definitely think so. The early part of the schedule for Skyline was really tough. That's something they do on purpose. They want to get themselves ready for conference or district play and potentially the playoffs. So it was kind of by design to have them go through some really tough games early in the season. I'm sure they wish they probably could have at least maybe split them, maybe gone like 500 through those games, but instead it was a very tough stretch. Now they are finding their stride, looking really solid, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Zayden Burks has really came out and started to be the running back that we've seen him be the last couple of years at Skyline. He's coming off 2 really big games in a row. So yeah, it certainly seems like that second half bump for Skyline is already here.
And for the Millbrook Pioneers, you've seen them in action once already, and it's not the traditional run heavy team with Keon Lewis, Rome Johnson spreading things out, throwing the football in an offense that has had some success. So I would imagine with two pretty explosive offensives at times, this could be a very fun game to watch.
Oh yeah, I think it should be very fun, very high scoring. Yeah, very different Millbrook offense than in the past. I think when we saw them 2 weeks ago, Keon Lewis had like 42 passing attempts. I don't think they had 42 passing attempts in the entire season last year out of the single wing offense. So yeah, very different. But my biggest complaint for Millbrook right now is they're going to have to find ways to run the ball more efficiently. They really were not able to run the ball at all versus Sherando, weren't really able to run the ball very much at all versus James Wood. And that is so important in high school football just to take some pressure off your quarterback. Keon Lewis has done a great job, but he is still just in his first year as a varsity starter. So it would be nice if they could take some pressure off of him by getting the run game going a little bit.
Absolutely. And just seeing what Keon Lewis is able to do with the skill guys for Millbrook, I think that's a key how you can use them, but at the same time, alluding back to your point, establishing a good running game as well. Because if you rely mainly on the pass, and this is just in general from what I've seen in high school football, Ryan, you tend to not have as much success if you're just throwing it constantly and not establishing your run.
Yeah, and we've had extremely favorable weather in the area for the start of the season. Once playoff football comes in November and it's a little bit colder and that ball's a little bit harder to hold on to, you're going to need a run game. Oh, there's some very high windy days. I mean, the Millbrook home stadium, it's out there in practically a field, so they get a ton of wind for their home games, and a lot of other stadiums are kind of the same way. So that's something they're going to need to figure out, especially if they want to make a playoff run, which I think they could. They seem to be a team that's in that playoff mix right now.
And just in general, Ryan, for both Skyline and Millbrook, what are sort of your keys to victory on both sides? What does each squad need to do in order to potentially get the victory?
Yeah, I mean, I know it's seems like every football game comes down to this, but I'm very intrigued to see the matchup in the trenches. You have a class 4 versus a class 3 school, but Millbrook's inside, their offensive line, defensive lines have really kind of gotten worked these last few weeks against James Wood and Sherando, and now they're going to play a smaller Class 3 school. But Skyline does have a lot of experience on their line. Barrett Stevens is as good of an offensive lineman you will see, regardless of classification in this area, and they have a few others that have really looked solid and are looking to play on Saturdays as well. So I think that's going to be a huge key if Skyline or I mean, if Millbrook can contain Zayden Burks, he has not been contained at all the last 2 weeks. I know Millbrook has a ton of good linebackers that they can rotate through and throw bodies at him. They're going to have to gang tackle, but Millbrook really struggled in the run game versus Sherando. So if that is a weakness, I think Zayden Burks and the Hawks could exploit it. I would say if you are setting like a betting line for this one, Millbrook is probably the favorite, just based on their classification. They've looked pretty solid this year. Their big win over Kettle Run, but I do think that Skyline could pull off an upset here. They have the firepower to hang with them, that's for sure.
Ryan, It's October. Can you believe week eight's already here?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. There's not too many games left in my I had my count or my binder here. Has got all the little tabs for each game, and I'm just kind of making my way through it, and we're already in that second half of those tabs. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about.
It's Millbrook hosting Skyline. Ryan Rutherford and Randy Woodward have the call on the River 95.3. Always a tremendous job with their work over on the river. Ryan, certainly appreciate the time again here on Kirby's Kickoff, and we will catch you next week.
Sounds good.
This is Kirby's Kickoff. We are back with more right after this.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports with Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad that you are with us. Week 8 of high school football, highlighting two matchups just a little bit closer. Clarke County hosts Page County, and on Saturday, Handley hosts Westmoreland. Now pleased to be joined by Dan Gloster, Winchester's Classic Country 95.7. He has the call of both of those matchups. Dan, great to have you on as always, starting with Clarke County, Page County. This Clarke County team, a young squad, and we've talked about this before, not getting in the winning column yet, but fighting hard and making strides to do the best that they can. What do you see out of this matchup against a struggling Page County team? And do you think there's a good chance Clarke could get their first win of the season in this matchup?
I'd say there's a chance. I don't know about a good chance, Josh. Page is 2-4. They've taken their lumps for years against Clarke, so you know they want nothing more than to come to Berryville and beat. I don't even know when they last beat them, but I think it's been a while. But they would love nothing more than to beat Clarke County. Casey Childs says the team is improving, albeit incrementally, as far as the way the scores are going. So it's a big unit, big line that they're going to go against. They were out without one of their starters last week. Senior starters, his name escapes me, but so if he's not able to run, he's not able to go, that's going to make it that much more difficult. But this will probably be the best chance for Clarke to get a win, honestly. Although I don't know a whole lot about Madison County, that's their last game. But yeah, they still got Strasburg. It's going to be pretty tough. Luray, they're usually pretty tough. And I think there's one other team on their schedule still. So, but this might be the best chance for them to get a win.
And again, last week, seeing Page County get shut out by Strasburg, so maybe an indication on what style of play, because Clarke County is familiar with Strasburg, and watching film on Page County after that, I bet you they can get a lot of learning, a lot of tape out of that game to see what they need to do in order to get a win. But at the same time, this Clarke County Eagles team, they're fighting hard, and Coach Childs has always talked about getting around a defender and tackling them, because it seems like they're breaking some pretty explosive plays that might go for them if they're able to make some big tackles in critical moments.
Yeah, again, the splash plays, that's what's going to kill you if you're any defense, but much more if you're a young defense. So they got to do a good job at, again, breaking down the ball carriers, getting them on the ground, and trying to extend drives when they've got the football to where they can convert on third down where they really haven't had a whole lot of success. And when they get it into the red zone, score touchdowns. They've been shut out the last 2 weeks, and heading into the game 2 weeks ago, they'd only scored 24 points total. So they got to make the most of their opportunities against, I think, a team that's going to be about as evenly matched as you're going to get this year with the way Clarke County is, their youth, and and just the fact that they're only playing about two seniors total, top five on the team, and two seniors playing legit time.
So Clarke County on Friday tonight against Page County, and then Saturday the Handley Judges hosts Manassas Park. Last week, Handley, with a tough defense but turning the ball over, was the key in a huge victory for the Kettle Run Cougars, as both teams came off a bye week. What does Handley have to do this Saturday in order to claim a victory against Manassas Park, in your mind?
Well, do what they didn't do last week, which was maintain possession, don't turn over the ball, and then limit your mistakes. I mean, they had a 15-yard penalty on the kickoff, and that put the ball at the 43 of Handley for Kettle Run. They didn't get a touchdown, but they did get a field goal, and that just kind of set the tone for just a litany of, again, mistakes and turnovers that, they don't have, they have 5 interceptions thrown, 2 fumbles, 7 turnovers total. And 3 of the turnovers went for pick sixes. So the defense only allows 1 offensive touchdown and a couple of field goals. So again, you can't take away those pick sixes, but it's 13 points if you don't have those. If you just tackle them before they score, the way the defense was playing, there's a chance that maybe they only allow, 1 of those touchdowns. And then if Handley can get anything going on offense, which obviously they couldn't, maybe it's a little bit of a different game, but they just gotta execute, and I think with the team they're playing, you got to get them down, and then you just don't give them any hope, because Manassas Park, to say that they're struggling, that's a bit of an understatement. I mean, they got shut out by Warren County 50-0, and James Wood beat Warren County 72-12. So that'll put it in a little perspective for you right there. I mean, Skyline, I think, put 64 on Manassas Park and pitched a shutout. So, I think, I don't know, it would be a pretty huge upset if somehow Handley doesn't win this game. I mean, that would be one of the all-timers right there for me. But so again, just execution, got to do better.
A positive out of the game last week, too, their defense stood strong pretty much the entire game, as we alluded to earlier. And I think that's a huge plus for this Handley football team, that this defense is constantly making good plays, holding teams. And although the score line didn't indicate it last week, that this Handley team on defense was making some good things happen and pressuring Kettle Run at times.
For sure. I mean, they allowed like 140 yards of offense to Kettle Run. You look at the score and you're like, yeah, Kettle Run, they had 350, 400 yards? Nope. But with this, and Handley's coming into the stretch run after this Manassas Park game. They're at Sherando, at Wood, and home to Millbrook. All 3 of those teams have really good offenses. So not only does the defense need to keep up what they're doing, but the offense needs to start playing a little bit better, at least better than they did against Kettle Run. And sometimes you can't expect your defense to do that against quality teams week in and week out. So, but you're right. They definitely did a good job limiting Kettle Run, especially on the ground. I think they got 36 yards through the air and somewhere around 80 yards on the ground. So that's impressive. But the offense needs to better. They need to come together and put together some good series of downs as well, because that's going to be pushing it to rely on your defense that much against three quality teams coming up.
There we have it. As we always do, let's take a brief look around the area. The Sherando Warriors traveling up to Kettle Run after a bye week the week prior. Sherando, I would imagine they're fresh going into this matchup off the bye week against the Kettle Run team who defeated Handley. Again, I think this could be another exciting matchup tonight.
For sure. I mean, these two teams have played close games, recently. Sherando hadn't beaten them in a while, nor had anybody in Winchester, Frederick County until Millbrook did, 3 weeks ago. So, but in the game against Millbrook, Kettle Run turned it over 3 times, only scored 7 points. So you can see where turnovers are a great equalizer. And if the Warriors defense is optimistic and they force some turnovers, that could go a long way to determining a win for Sherando. But Kettle Run is tough, and their defense, to say that they're opportunistic, that's an understatement considering that they forced 7 turnovers last week against a good Handley team. So it'll be a good one over in Nokesville, and it would be a huge win for Sherando. Probably put them back up in the top 1 or 2 of the Region 4D power ratings.
James Wood traveling to Liberty. Dan, I'm not sure if you've seen Liberty yet this season, but I've heard they have improved from last season. Still struggling a little bit, but from what I've heard, they have a quarterback who can sling the football with a good offense. But James Wood seems to be very, very primed with all the skill guys that they have, and that was evident in the game that you called James Wood and Millbrook at the Ridge campus. Another good matchup there. James Wood looking to continue on the trail that they are with an explosive offense and some defense, which really didn't show in the last game against Millbrook, but they do have some defensive playmakers as well.
Yeah, and I think job one for James Wood will be to not have a hectic road trip. Get to Liberty. Not like what happened when they went down to Meridian when they got there about 20 minutes prior to game time. Need to just have a much more, get there when you're supposed to get there. Have your warm ups. Get a fast start on the road. Obviously, they won that Meridian game, but they trailed at halftime 9-7. So I'm sure that they will want to, just do what they need to do to get there on time, and then get a good start against Liberty. And the offense, they've got so many weapons, from Adric Urish to Xavier Price, of course Owen Neal, Caden McCullough, even Jeremiah Hodel out of the backfield running the football. James Wood's got a lot of weapons, and their defense, just one of those games where Millbrook, gave Lewis some time, and they were also able to run the ball in spurts as well. But that was probably just not a great matchup for the James Wood defense. I expect them to play a lot better this week against Liberty.
And the Millbrook Pioneers hosting Skyline. Skyline's on a roll with a 3-game winning streak after dropping their first 3, I believe, of the season. Zayden Burke stands out for Skyline very heavily, and they have some other guys who can make things happen as well. I know you were on the call last year, Dan, as Skyline upset Millbrook, who I believe was favored by everybody around, and they defeated Millbrook. This could be another exciting matchup with the difference in Millbrook's offensive set this year under first-year head coach Nick Manuel and sort of the speed and intensity that Skyline brings with the weapons that they have, including Zayden Burks.
Yeah, that's where they got a key. They got a key on Burks. He's apparently one of the better, more heavily recruited backs in the area. And yeah, they did beat them when Millbrook went over to Skyline last year. Pioneers 2-game losing streak after that big win at Kettle Run. So I think I won't say pressure, but they really need to get a win. So I expect them to be primed and ready to go. And you would think that their defense will come back and play better than they did last week when they gave up 54. They did force a turnover on downs, but never forced James Wood to punt the ball. So they need to tighten things up a little bit. So that should be an interesting game. But I think if they get a win, they'll be back to 500, 4-4, with, I believe, their bye week coming, and then Liberty on the 30th, and then Handley on the 8th. So they do need to definitely get this win for a chance to go to finish over 500.
High school football week number 8, and Dan Gloster has 2 matchups on Winchester's Classic Country 95-7. It's Clarke County hosting Page County, and on Saturday, Handley and Manassas Park. Always a pleasure catching up with the voice of high school football on 95-7. Dan Gloster, certainly appreciate the time again, sir.
All right, Josh, take care.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this.
Located right here in Winchester, Virginia, Barrett Pest and Termite Services celebrates 25 years of service in 2022. And our veteran staff has over 100 years of combined experience preventing and remediating pest and termite infestations. From ants and termites on the ground to mosquitoes, yellow jackets, and hornets in the air, to one-time corrective services for rodents, to ongoing maintenance, Barrett does the job for residential and commercial customers. We also offer discounts for seniors, first responders, and military. What's bugging you? Let us know today, and we'll be out before you know it. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
It's Jason, General Manager at Shenandoah Music, here to tell you all about...
Jay, what are you doing here?
Well, Matt, I'm trying to tell the people about our selection of guitars, basses, keyboards, drum sets.
I know that, but I always do the radio spots.
You get to have all the fun. I want to tell everyone about our huge selection, unbeatable prices, unmatched service, and in-depth knowledge.
Jay, I really don't think now is the time to discuss.
So remember, folks, when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester.
That's my line.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad that you're with us. Taking a look at another matchup highlighting Week 8 across our area when it comes to high school football. Strasburg hosts Luray this upcoming Friday night in Bull Run District action. Previously defeating Page County 35-0. Now joining me, the head coach of the Strasburg Rams, Trip Lamb. And Coach, I know it's been a while. How is everything, sir?
Everything's going good. Coming off a couple wins in a row, so we're feeling good.
Absolutely. So let's sort of break this down a little bit. I know coming off a Week 2 loss to a tough Broadway team, but banging out 4 straight up until this matchup coming up against Luray. Would you say maybe a lot of positive momentum after the loss to Broadway? And what have you seen from your team just overall since falling in Week 2 and popping off 4 straight wins?
We definitely went back to the drawing board, and we started paying the price in practice a little bit more, being more physical with practice, having more of a sense of urgency, and it's really paid off.
Absolutely, and just in general, it seems like week in and week out, you have numerous skill guys offensively that are able to get a lot of stuff generated for your offense. What has stood out to you so far over the past couple of weeks that you've really liked from your offense?
Just everybody's willingness to work together. I mean, it's easy to plug some different backs in there when, the line is talking and combo blocking and things like that the way that they are. And, it's really good to have a bunch of different running backs that you can throw in there at any given moment and get some production out of them.
Defensively, too, just looking at the score lines the past 4 weeks, holding Warren County to 18, Moorfield to 6, Turner Ashby to 14. What has really stood out from your team defensively with holding teams to a low number of points?
I definitely think we're coming on. I think we got off to a slow start defensively to start the year. And, we're starting to run to the ball and rally to the ball and check our keys and communicate better on defense, and it's really showing.
Looking ahead, I know you like to be in the moment, focus on you and your team, but do you like the position that you all are in going into the back end of the season with a lot of Bull Run District play? Because we all know how the Bull Run District can be tough, hard-nosed football just across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's kind of what we're built for, the offense we run, the defense we run. It's to win the Bull Run. That's kind of why we do what we do. So we got out of our comfort level a little bit with some out-of-district play, which is good because it tests you in some areas you might be weak. So now that we're in the district, we kind of feel like, we're in a good spot to kind of hold our own destiny. We started off with a win to start district play, and we're looking to do the same this week.
And 3 out of your next 4 are at home. That must be huge because I know being down there covering a game one time earlier last month, just seeing that atmosphere, that must be a fun place and a fun atmosphere to be a part of.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The town really supports us. The stadium's beautiful. The setting is beautiful. And it's just a really good place to play a football game. It's a lot of fun, and, we're lucky to have it.
So hosting Luray tonight, what can you sort of tell us about Luray and what they bring to the football field?
Ground and pound. They're big up front. They've got 2 running backs, that are big, that can really hurt you and run the ball very, very hard. They've got some speed at their other positions. They try to stretch the field a little bit. But the key to the game is going to be stopping their big running backs and making sure that we're ready to tackle them for 4 quarters.
It's a Bull Run District matchup as Strasburg gets set to host Luray. Always a pleasure to be joined by the head coach of the Strasburg Rams, Trip Lamb, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach Lamb, a pleasure catching up with you again, sir. We will catch you down the line.
All right, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road. This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us as we take a look at Week 8 high school football across our local area and beyond. The Clarke County Eagles are at home against Page County in the Bull Run District, falling last week to Central out of Woodstock. Always pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Eagles, Casey Childs. And, Coach, I know another result you don't want to see on the scoreboard, but what do you see from your team in and week out? Because I know we've talked before, and your team's fighting pretty hard for you and the coaching staff to try to put out better results, even if that doesn't mean on the scoreboard.
Well, I mean, it's all during the week, we preached all week long, intensity, aggression, and tackling. And I thought that we took care of the first 2. That's what I said on, last Friday after the game. We didn't tackle well. We really have not tackled well all year. And it's not for our lack of practicing drill work, et cetera. It's just we're not tackling very well. And a lot of that has to contribute with the fact that we're playing some teams that are older, bigger, stronger, faster than we are at this time. And it shows. There's no question about that. But one good thing is, and I meant it last Friday when I talked to the kids, and I still say that today, is that barring what the school board said, we competed a lot harder and than we, in my opinion, than we have. And so I was proud of the fact that we competed. We actually moved the football at times. We just, we turned it up. We threw a pick six, and we had a kickoff return for a touchdown. So I mean, and we moved the ball. We just couldn't really go, really get things going. 15, 20 play drive, which, like I told the kids, we give up big plays, but it takes us having to drive the ball 10 to 12 to 15 plays. And when you make teams do that, they're liable to make mistakes, holding call, a turnover, whatever the case may be. And those are things that are happening to us. And so we're just, we're going to keep competing. We'll keep fighting. And it's homecoming week here at Clarke. And in my opinion, it's the greatest week of the year. And a lot of excitement in the area. And hopefully we can end up playing well Friday night.
And just some kids, I know the youth of your team, who really stands out to you, not just in last week's game, but just overall, who's maybe making a big difference, a big impact for your squad despite the results?
Well, I thought that, Grady has been pretty steady for us at running back, and we've been really, really looking for someone else to take some of the burden off of his shoulders in the run game. And we were able to, like Friday night, we were able to get some pretty good stuff from Mason Jarvis and then Aiden and Hammer, and both of those guys. I thought did a good job in the run game from the wing back in the quarterback position in the center wing. I was really glad to see that. We completed the pass or two as well. And moving Mason to that three back, I've seen a little bit of dividends there as well. So I was happy with that. Defensively, we had to move another sophomore into a linebacker position, Eamon Whalen. I thought he's been playing a lot on the JV team. I thought he did a great job Friday night due to some injuries that he had to step in there. So to be honest with you, Aiden King up front, I think that kid he has got a really good motor. He's going to be another really, really good player for us at some point. But I really like where he's at as well. And like I said, Sean Haggerty at center had a really good game Friday. He's been steady. They went through a little lull, and then he had a good game. So when you see all of the, every kid that I mentioned are pretty much sophomores. So we're young, and you really get tired of saying that, but that's just really, really the reality of it. And then of course, Friday night, is one of those games where we had 22 brand new starters on the field because we did not have Stem Friday night, but we're hoping to get him back this Friday for the homecoming game. But so when you're doing your stuff and you've got such young kids, the margin of error is very small. And we've played a really good schedule because when you've been like we've been, and I've told you before, it's hard to get some games. So we're playing some teams that when we're typical, Clarke County teams, it'd be some really great games. That just haven't been great as of yet. And we're just hoping to continue and finish out these last 4 weeks and continue to play hard and develop for the future as well.
And just looking at the opponent in Page County recently playing another big rival in Strasburg, have you evaluated the film for that game, and does that help you at all to see what you're looking at in terms of what Page County brings?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a very fast game. I don't think either team is really going to try to air it out too much. They're going to be on balanced line. They're running more like it's a hybrid, kind of a wildcat. They shift. They do a little bit of single wing stuff, but they do a lot of. They've taken some of the few horses that we use, and they're using them as well. So it's going to be there. Multiple backs touch it. They've got a big guy that's like 280 pounds. I'll put him back there at either the direct snap wildcat guy, or put him over the center. But he moves well for being a big kid too. So it's got to be a game where we have to make them drive the football. We cannot give up the big runs, and then same thing with us. We've got to be able to move the football. That's the bottom line. If we can win the line of scrimmage, we'll win the football game. If we don't win the line of scrimmage, we won't. And that's the tailor-made thing for every game. You've got to be good up front. You've got to win up front, and that's what we're trying to get to. But it's a game we can win. We can, and I'm hoping that with all the excitement and homecoming and all the different stuff that we do here at Clarke during this week, because it's a great week. So we're hoping that all of those things will help get us where we need to be for Friday night, and then for kickoff, we're ready to go.
There you have it. The Clarke County Eagles hosting Page County homecoming night. Always pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach, certainly appreciate your time again, sir, and we will catch you next week.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks a lot.
This is Kirby's Kickoff. We are back with more right after this. Fall is here, and New Look Landscaping has everything your home needs to look its best. Brighten your yard with colorful mums available now. And don't forget, New Look offers professional power washing to give your home a fresh, clean look. Call New Look Landscaping today at 540-327-1244 or email them at 2025.nullook@gmail.com. Guys, Josh Kirby here with my friends at Frederick County Parks and Recreation, the title sponsor of Kirby on Sports. Winter basketball, one of their most exciting sports leagues, tipping off here soon. Registration is open until November 10th. The Thanksgiving Day 5K, one of the biggest races of the year, and the New York City trip that Parks and Recreation offers each and every winter. If you're interested in any of those or even more activities that Parks and Recreation has to offer, you can visit their website at fcprd.net for more information. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. Week 8 of high school football as we look at the Warren County Wildcats. They host Fauquier this Friday night tonight. Last week, Warren County getting their first win of the season over Manassas Park, 50-0. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Wildcats, Coach Josh Breeden. And Coach, first and foremost, how'd it feel just getting that first win under your team's belt in shutout fashion?
Oh, it was good, man. The kids deserve it. They've been working hard all season. It was good to finally have some success, on the scoreboard. We did a lot of good things all night on Friday, but a lot that we still need to work on and clean up. So definitely a good lesson, but always feels good after a win.
And what stood out to you positively from your team after a performance like this?
Well, defense was flying around. Obviously, pitching a shutout feels good. We definitely were executing our assignments, communicating better in the secondary, so there wasn't any miscommunications. Coverage-wise, no blown assignments there. They stood tall. Manassas Park got down there on the 1 yard line, and we forced a fumble and got a takeaway, so that was good. And then offensively. First half, we were kind of missing some opportunities, only 16-0 at halftime. But then in the second half, we came out and took full advantage of all the opportunities they presented to us. So feel good, great team win. A lot of names that have kind of been quiet this season really, really showed up Friday night. Adrian Craig had 4 touchdowns. McCoy Robinson, a freshman, had 2. So it was good to get those guys going.
And just after a win like this, I would imagine morale's very boosted in terms of confidence through this next game and beyond. What has that looked like so far after the big win? And I know you have to prepare, get ready for Fauquier, but the confidence and the level of intensity of practice must be good to have after that win.
Yeah, it's definitely a little momentum boost that we needed. I think that there's going to be some distractions this week with it being homecoming, but there also comes some energy that comes with the homecoming festivities. So if we can really hone in and focus and use the momentum that we got last week, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Coach, what can you tell us about the Fauquier Falcons coming to your place?
I think they're definitely a better team than they were last year. I know their coach has been working really hard with those guys. They have athletes all over the place. They have some speed. They have two guys that can flat out motor, two track guys for them. Their starting quarterback, number 8. He's electric. He's been out these last couple games, but we're definitely preparing for him because he's definitely a threat both on the ground and through the air. Defensively, they fly around. They have those two speedsters on the outside, so we have to know where they are when it comes to pass game and have a plan to get them kind of out of the way. But they're a very well coached team. They're a disciplined team. We have to put our best foot forward and play a good football game.
And as I mentioned last week, a shutout victory against Manassas Park. Some key takeaways from that game that you can build into this game against Fauquier. Are there any you're looking at specifically, and what are sort of your keys to victory in a sense?
Yeah, I think, Friday was a good opportunity for us to just execute our base plays and have some success in some of the stuff that we've been trying to do all year and really understand, the why of everybody's assignment, and I think that the success that we had is only gonna give us confidence moving forward, running those plays and running those defensive coverages and everything. I think that there's a lot of learning that can still come from that game because, like I said, there were still some missed opportunities in the first half. There were some missed assignments that we had to clean up at halftime when we made adjustments. But watching the film with the guys, they're really starting to buy in and believe and see that we can have success when we just execute. So if we can execute and win the line of scrimmage on Friday, I'll be very happy. I think that the game will take care of itself. We just have to go 1-0 on the first play.
It's Warren County on homecoming hosting Fauquier tonight, part of Week 8 action across the Shenandoah Valley and beyond. Always a pleasure talking football with the head coach of the Warren County Wildcats, Josh Breeden. Coach, certainly appreciate the time again, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barnwood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad that you are with us, highlighting Week 8 of high school football across our area. The James Wood Colonels make a trip to Bealton to face off against the Liberty Eagles tonight. Last week, it was a shootout at the Ridge campus against Millbrook, 54-35. Now joining me, the head coach of the James Wood Colonels, Todd Wilson. And Coach, it seemed like all offense, not a lot of defense in this game. Only one turnover that James Wood was able to capitalize on, and only one punt throughout. What can you say just in general about a offensive, fast-paced game like this game was? Because I know there are probably a lot of emotions and a lot of speed to the game. Just your thoughts on that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I told our kids after the game what I was, obviously proud about the win, but no, at no point did we ever get rattled on the sideline, or the players never at any point, wanted to point blame or complain, or so that was really nice to see. I mean, it was a game that was going back and forth, and those situations, like you just said, emotions could get running high, and guys can start, turning on each other, saying, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? But we never really got rattled. We felt pretty confident in our game plan, and we thought our kids were executing it fairly well. It'd been nice to get another stop or two in the first half. I think if our defense could have done that, obviously, things could have been a little bit differently. But it was exciting. Hopefully, it was exciting for the fans. I'm sure it was. A lot of points on the board, a lot of offense, and you said it wasn't a real sloppy game. Only one turnover. Good interception there by Adric Urich to help us kind of seal that win.
And just in terms of the fast-paced, how well do you think your team kept their composure and just stayed locked in on the next play, staying in the moment, not getting too far ahead?
Yeah, I mean, that's how we practice. I mean, we practice that way. We at times, like earlier in the year, we were going a little slower. Not because we wanted to go slower. We just haven't kind of found our pace yet. And we tried to do a few things to speed us up even a little bit more. And I think we've gotten to that because we practice a little bit faster. It's how we practice. So if you do things, how we practice throughout the week, and then on Friday night, it shouldn't be like a shock of how things are going and how the tempo we need to run and things like that. So I just think it's a credit to our kids. They work really hard. They focused really well. And it's nice to see their hard work paying off.
Just two guys that stood out to me. Xavier Price, 6 catches, 103 yards. Jeremiah Hodel making an impact. I know as a head coach, you probably saw a lot more players shine than those two that I mentioned, but getting your skill guys involved, how do you like seeing all of them in making a big impact in your offense?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even mention, Owen Neal and Adric Urich. Adric Urich also had 6 catches, I think right close to 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. Owen, without, Jeremiah ran the ball really well for us. He scored a touchdown. And then, Owen was had a hand in seven touchdowns for us. He had a big run and around an 80-yard run for us, touchdown run for us. I've said it before the last couple of weeks. We've relied on different guys. There's not one guy that teams can say, hey, if we take this one guy away from them, we can stop them, because I feel that we have, a good skill set of guys out there. And then one of our other receivers didn't play, Xander Manzo, with injury the week before Meridian. So we feel really confident in the skills on our offensive side. And, you got to give a shout out to the offensive line. They did a phenomenal job the other night. So the offensive line is in that category as well. So it's exciting. There's a lot of things that we still need to improve on. But that's kind of what we've been doing each and every week, is getting a little bit better. And that's just what we keep preaching to the kids, is that, we won the game. We, proud of them for that. But then we look and reflect and figure out where do we need to improve upon to kind of take the next step, which is what we're trying to do here.
And what did you see defensively, letting up 35 points? I know this was both sides offensively, but was there something defensively maybe you wanted to see done better in a situation like this, or what stood out to you?
They had a really good game plan. We knew they were. I mean, they've always had good athletes over at Millbrook, so that's not surprising. Like I said, we talked about it before the game. Number 7's really good. Quarterback's really good, and they showed that. A couple of the other receivers, which I knew. I mean, number 7, I think, is probably their best guy receiver. But I mean, the other guys out there, their tight end's really good. The other receiver, number 4. So it wasn't surprising. Sometimes it's like that. I mean, there's shootouts. It's not necessarily because our defense is bad. They got a good offense. They schemed some things up to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands really quick, is what they did. I don't know how many screens he threw or how many screens they have in their playbook, but they were drawing up all kinds of screens, whether it was wide receivers, tight ends. They were going one way, throwing it back another way. So, Coach Manuel did a great job of scheming things up. And, our defense has kind of been that way the last several weeks. I mean, going all the way back to Culpepper, it was kind of like bend but don't break kind of situation. And that's kind of what we did Friday night against Millbrook. We gave up some plays, obviously, but when it came down to crunch time, we kind of buckled down and got a few stops when we needed to.
So moving ahead to Liberty, your team traveling to Bealeton to face the Eagles, what sort of challenge does Liberty bring to the football field, and what would you like to try to do to stop them?
Yes, I mean, there's a lot of the same stuff. They like to throw the ball around. It could be very similar to what it was like the other night. They're a high percentage throw team. They have a kind of 2 quarterback system. Number 5, he's a big kid, probably I think around 215. So he's going to be hard to tackle. He does scramble a little bit more than what we've faced the last couple of weeks, where the quarterbacks tend to stay in the pocket and get rid of the ball. He'll take off with it, and he's a big kid, so it's going to be hard to bring him down. So we got to have 11 guys running to the football. So that's the biggest thing, is just rallying to the football and tackling. But they're a pretty good team up front. They're big, they're young, but they're big up front. So hopefully we can get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback this week to help our defense out as well.
And just adding on to a game like this against Millbrook, I would imagine more of the same offensively, getting your skill guys involved, Owen, Neal, Adric, Urish, Price, and just all of those different guys. Does it help with a big win like that, momentum, to try to get them going even more tonight against Liberty?
Yeah, I mean, you can coach it up throughout the week and explain to them, like, hey, this is what you're doing really well. One thing that, for example, our receivers have gotten better with throughout the course of the year is spacing on routes. When you do the right spacing, it's a lot harder for the defense to cover you. We try to use the entire football field. We're not just a hash-to-hash team. We want to use sideline to sideline. So when our kids understand spacing, so we can pull that stuff up from the game from Millbrook and point out the positives, but then the other hand, point out the negatives of things to get better on. It is. So we like our chances. The guys are working really hard. We have opportunity to go down there. I don't know when the last time it was that James Wood won at Liberty. I think it's been a while. We were very close a couple years ago, went into overtime, but, so we're excited to go down there and give it our best shot.
There you have it. The James Wood Colonels traveling to Liberty, highlighting Week 8 of high school football in the Shenandoah Valley and beyond. Always a pleasure catching up with the head coach of the James Wood Colonels, Todd Wilson, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach, certainly appreciate your time again, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Josh.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this.
Hey there, Kirby on Sports Podcast fans. Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate here for you. Remember, if you have any real estate needs, buying or selling, I'm your guy. I would love to help you out. And you can also find me on my own personal podcast, Iconic Talk, where you get a chance to learn about the local real estate market and why Winchester is an amazing place to live. Reach out to me anytime, 540-247-1527, and find Iconic Talk anywhere you get your podcasts.
Bed bugs. The only thing creepier than thinking about them is actually having them. Trust me, you don't want to have them. Locally owned and operated Barrett Pest and Termite Services can keep you from having bed bug nightmares and infestations. Call 540-340-3922 to schedule your free inspection and consultation. If bed bugs are already in your home, we'll get rid of them so you can rest easy. We also specialize in keeping homes and businesses free of other pests, including rodents and termites. That's Barrett Pest and Termite Services, 540-340-3922.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad that you are with us. Week 8 of high school football, catching the Sherando Warriors out of a bye, they travel to Kettle Run tonight in 2 weeks prior, defeating Millbrook 35-14. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Sherando Warriors, TJ Rohrbal. And Coach, thank you for your time as always, and just maybe a little evaluation of what you liked best out of your team's win against Millbrook 2 weeks ago.
Well, I think it was the first time in several weeks that we had won the turnover battle. So, that was huge for us. I think Millbrook had 2 turnovers and we didn't have any. So that's a trend we hope to continue, winning the turnover battle. Also, we did a good job up front on both sides of the ball. I think anytime you can establish a line of scrimmage on offense and defense, it does a lot of things for you, to help you win the football game. And I thought we were able to do those things, and they paid off for us.
So, Coach, I know you always preach, and we've discussed it numerous times about staying within your team, yourselves, not focusing on anything that you all can't control. With this bye week, and I know for some teams that it's kind of an adjustment where you have to get used to not facing a different opponent that next week. Sort of take me through your bye week and how you were able to stay on the same routine and get some more work in and maybe get some more guys healthy, what have you, during that week off.
Well, I think you're just on a constant quest throughout the season to try and get better at the fundamentals, the things that matter, blocking, tackling, limiting turnovers, penalties. So that was the emphasis for us during the bye week. And, we just wanted to improve and get ourselves better and hopefully be better this week than we were last week.
A week of rest going into a road matchup against Kettle Run. What can you tell us about the Kettle Run Cougars and what they present on the football field, Coach?
They're Kettle Run like they've been the last several years. They're a very good football team. They got a lot of guys back from a team that went all the way to the state championship last year. They're very well coached, disciplined football team, and they present a tough challenge for anybody that steps on the field with them. And so just a really good football team.
And sort of just your key takeaways or your keys to getting a victory out there tonight.
Just the things that we talk about every week. You got to try to win the line of scrimmage. You got to be great at blocking, great at tackling. You got to be very disciplined. You got to get your key, play football, and just be relentless, man. Go out there for 4 quarters and get after it and limit turnovers, limit penalties, and give yourself a chance to be in the game in the fourth quarter.
It should be a fun matchup as the Sherando Warriors travel up to face the Kettle Run Cougars, highlighting Week 8 of high school football. As always, pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Sherando Warriors, TJ Rohrbal, right here on Kirby's Kickoff. Coach, certainly appreciate the time again, sir. We will catch you down the line.
All right. Thank you, Josh. I appreciate it.
It's Jason, General Manager at Shenandoah Music, here to tell you all about...
Jay, what are you doing here?
Well, Matt, I'm trying to tell the people about our selection of guitars, basses, keyboards, drum sets.
I know that, but I always do the radio spots.
You get to have all the fun. I want to tell everyone about our huge selection, unbeatable prices, unmatched service, and in-depth knowledge.
Jay, I really don't think now is the time to discuss.
So remember, folks, when you think music, think Shenandoah Music in Winchester.
That's my line.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad that you're with us. Week 8 of high school football. The Skyline Hawks traveling to face the Millbrook Pioneers last week, a 38-7 victory at Fauquier. Now joining me, the head coach of the Skyline Hawks, Heath Gilbert. And Coach, last week against Fauquier, holding them to 7 points, another offensive performance as well. From what I've heard, what really stood out to you?
Well, we really wanted to win the battle in the trenches, and we were able to do that. They do an excellent job with their perimeter run game and the 2 receivers they have, and how we handled our pass coverage against Central was a big emphasis for us, and I think we did a great job rising to the challenge.
And in the trenches, sticking with that too. How huge is the offensive line been? I know week in and week out they're making impacts, and I know Zayden Burks making some great things happen with that, and other skill guys for your team as well. What stood out most to you about your offensive line, especially in this game?
They've been physical all year long, and that's huge. We've actually had to play a few extra guys too, so we have some depth this year, which is really nice as well. But I'm really proud of them, how hard they've been working. They get in there and they compete. Been able to run the ball against everyone on our schedule, which sometimes has been tough for us. So that's a positive, something we've definitely been able to hang our hat on. And I'm really proud of the work those guys. A lot of those guys have been starting as freshmen. Three of the current starters started as true freshmen, and now they're either junior or senior. So all that work and time is really starting to pay off.
And defensively holding Fauquier to 7 points, what really impressed you from that side of the football?
I was just proud of the guys, their effort, and they were on their scouting report, and they had a good idea what to expect. And they were physical. They played downhill, and we did a really good job on defense.
So, two-game winning streak so far. Central, Woodstock, and Fauquier both wins heading into Millbrook tonight, Coach. And I know last year that Millbrook traveled to your place and upset win over Millbrook. This year, this Millbrook team looks a lot different than last year, Coach. What do you see in your eyes about this Millbrook Pioneers team this year?
Just as you alluded to, just their philosophy with the coaching change is different. Single wing to now more of a spread look. Defensively, a lot of same principles are still there, but we definitely have our hands full just getting lined up. In the two games that we have, they showed 56 different formation variances. So making sure our eyes are right and we can see how they're lining up and get lined up correctly so we don't get leveraged.
And you mentioned all the different formations and how they line up. How are you going about that in practice in terms of letting your kids know when they do this, you do that, to make sure everybody's on the same page? Because that just sounds like a lot with 56 different variances.
Right, it is a lot, and we just maximize our practice time, starting with Monday. Then we have an extra block every day that we use for skills for whatever the emphasis of the week. So we're going to use it for formation rec this week, and film work, of course, the scouting report that we give the boys. So all those things, watching film, see the formation, say to yourself, because you have the list in front of you, what we should be lined up in. So just kind of that preparation in that manner.
And last but not least, Coach, it seems like just a positive atmosphere, positive energy after this two-game winning streak. How has everything been going just with the energy around the team during this two-game winning streak, looking to extend it tonight?
We're actually on a 3-game winning streak, so that makes it even more positive. So, but that's it's been great. I mean, because I've talked about this early on, the win against Manassas Park, that was expected, but the preparation for Central, we were just telling the kids, keep digging, keep attacking the process, keep doing the right things. But if we don't win, eventually they're going to tune you out. So getting that victory against Central, a quality opponent, in our eyes for sure, was a big boost to what we're doing. We're doing the right things. We just got to keep at it, and things can start to turn our way. So this is another example of that. The win against Fauquier was great, but we know Millbrook is a level up. So we're hoping that that's going to be another exciting Friday night for us.
And Coach, what's the benefit in your mind? I know this is kind of off topic, but you're a Class 3 school playing a Class 4 school. What's that like, adding some Class 4 schools to the schedule?
That's our athletic director in our district. They're in charge of that. If sometimes we play some 2As too, so it gets a little balanced there. It's not necessarily something that we might always want to sign up for, but as part of the deal being a Northwest district, in the past there's been a thing where we're going to all the 3As play each other and all the 4As play each other, and then it became, well, the 4As want to play all the 3As. So now there's kind of a deal where we're going to have to play 2 of the 4As every couple of years. So that's the process we're doing right now.
Absolutely. So the Skyline Hawks on a 3-game winning streak, looking to make it 4 as they travel to face the Millbrook Pioneers tonight. Always a pleasure talking football with the head coach of the Hawks, Heath Gilbert. Coach, thanks so much for your time once again here on Kirby's Kickoff.
You're welcome.
And we're back with more right after this. Are you looking to take the final steps in order to get your driver's license? Look no further. On the Road Driving School offers teen and adult driving, along with classroom sessions for teens and adults, DMV re-exam classes, and driver improvement classes. On the Road Driving School has what you need in order to get on the road. Contact them today at 540-869-6105. That's On the Road Driving School. 540-869-6105. On the Road Driving School will get you on the road. This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad that you are with us. Week 8 of high school football. Another matchup. The Millbrook Pioneers back at home facing off against the Skyline Hawks out of Warren County. Last week, Millbrook falling to James Wood in a crosstown rivalry in the Northwestern District. Now joining me, the head coach of the Millbrook Pioneers, Nick Manuel. Coach, certainly appreciate the time as always, and just looking at the matchup last week, it just from what I gathered, it seemed like a lot of offense, a shootout back and forth. Unfortunately, 1 turnover that was committed by your team, but only 1 punt in total as well. Can you sort of evaluate what really stood out to you from what I would imagine was a very high intensity matchup with the amount of points that were on the board in total?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of really good offense. And, not so much good defense on our end. James Wood got a couple key stops when it mattered, especially on our first drive, and then them being able to score right before halftime, and then getting the ball back after halftime and scoring was able to kind of put them up 2 scores and keep them up 2 scores for the remainder of the game. Hats off to them. They did a really good job executing. I would say they're near perfect on offense, not a lot of mistakes that they committed. But we just got to be more fundamental. We got to be able to execute a game plan. We got to be able to tackle and create some turnovers to have a chance in those competitive games.
I know you have a history as a defensive-minded coach coming from Sherando as their defensive coordinator. With the amount of points on the board and the amount of points you let up, what do you evaluate from your defense that you might want to work to improve on through this week into tonight?
Yeah, it's the fundamentals, like I mentioned in the previous. Like, we got to be able to get off blocks and make tackles and swarm to the football as a defense. That has to be our identity. Unfortunately, James Wood exposed that weakness in us. A lot of missed tackles on our end. But like I said, they did a good job of executing, which put that stress on us.
Absolutely. So just the week of practice, what's sort of the message to your team as you get into another home contest against the Skyline Hawks?
Well, we're focused back on that 1-0 mentality. We forget about the past. We do recognize our weaknesses. We took a little bit different approach to practice this week of watching a little bit more film throughout the week so we could get a little bit more of the mental game. I think sometimes we're out in the field a little bit too much and just stressing the playing aspect of it. But if we can't recognize and give ourselves an advantage from film, that's an issue. We try to freshen up and, rest our guys in a way, getting off the practice field a little bit earlier. So we hope that pays off for us this week. But 1-0 is always our goal. No matter the win or loss that happened the week before.
And Coach, what can you tell us about Skyline and the Skyline Hawks and your eyes and what they present on the football field?
They're a really good football team. I think their record doesn't do them justice. Most of their opponents they're bigger than. They have some kids that are faster than our kids, so they have weapons. They have the potential to put out a really good product on the field. I think the key will be which team can be disciplined more and who takes care of the football the most on Friday.
It's Millbrook. They host Skyline tonight at Millbrook High School. Should be another fun matchup as week 8 of high school football is upon us. Always a pleasure talking football with the head coach of the Millbrook Pioneers, Coach Nick Manuel. Coach, certainly appreciate your time again, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Another week covering our kids and covering our school. We really appreciate it.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this. Fall is here, and New Look Landscaping has everything your home needs to look its best. Brighten your yard with colorful mums available now. And don't forget, New Look offers professional power washing to give your home a fresh, clean look. Call New Look Landscaping today at 540-327-1244 or email them 2025.nullook@gmail.com. This is Kirby's Kickoff. We're powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. So glad you're with us. Week 8 of high school football. Another matchup on Saturday afternoon at the Handley Bowl as the Handley Judges hosts Manassas Park. Last week, falling to Kettle Run, the Kettle Run Cougars. Now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Judges, Jake Smith. And Coach, I know we discussed last week what you saw initially after the loss and just what's the week like in practice been so far, because I know it's probably leaving a bad taste in your team's mouth, the finish of that football game, and just take us through what the mindset is going into this matchup on Saturday.
Well, I think on Monday, you come in and close a chapter on the Kettle Run game. I think we learned a lot of things in that film, and pretty much the film told the same story, that we talked about post game. We started with the special teams implosion, followed by failed execution offensively. And so, when you look at those things and you run the tape back and you really analyze it, you see that we left a lot of things on the field, from that perspective. The highlight of that is defensively. I think our defense played a great game. Kettle Run had 100 yards of offense. And so, you take that and you continue to roll with it. And from the offensive perspective, we have to execute better on game day. And so that's a point of emphasis for us this week. We're going to put people in pressure situations and apply as much pressure in game sim as we can to try to eliminate those things from transpiring again. And so I think our focus has been good. I think anytime that you have a loss, you can really go one of two directions. And so I think we're heading in the right direction right now. We just need to continue that, for the remainder of the season.
One thing I saw positively I wanted to touch on with you again is just including Christian Dinges and some of that end of first half game plan, driving, trying to get a score there. He looks like he could be another skill guy that you can implement in a lot of different situations later in the season. How have you liked his progress and development so far with some action that you saw from him in Kettle Run?
Christian's a tremendous athlete. Obviously his size is a huge factor, but he has great ball skills and he runs really well. And so, I think getting his feet wet, against Kettle Run was good for him in a high pressure situation, and he didn't flinch. He performed well. Isaiah Baxter was a little bit banged up going into that game, so he was predominantly a one-way guy, which kind of gave Christian an opportunity on the offensive side of the football. And so I think he took advantage of that. And anytime you have skill guys that can create some complexity in the offense, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, looking at this matchup Saturday afternoon, hosting Manassas Park, what can you tell us a little bit about Manassas Park and what they bring to this contest on Saturday?
I don't think it's a secret. Manassas Park has struggled, this year and this season. But when you watch the tape, you see a lot of things that are, alarming. Obviously, they have good players. Number one is fantastic. He's explosive. He makes plays on offense and defense, and he has the ability to stretch the field. I think they play particularly good football early on in those games. And then they seem to kind of fizzle out, late in them. And so, again, who's to say that they don't put 4 quarters together on Saturday? And so that's the way in which we have to prepare. We're going to prepare this week just like we do any other week. Nothing's really going to change. Our focus is on us and getting better and then putting a better product on the field on Saturday.
And in this game, how do you want to maybe see your defense from the good performance they had last weekend, maybe bumping it to get some more defensive pressure and performance this week as well with all the positive you mentioned?
Yeah, I think our defense has a high standard of performance right now, and that's going to continue to remain the same, heading into this week. And so, again, we just need to align a sign and play really fast, and that's kind of what we've done all year. And Saturday is no different than that.
Absolutely. Manassas Park traveling to the Handley Bowl as the judges get set to face Manassas Park this Saturday. Always pleased talking football with the head coach of the John Handley Judges, Jake Smith. Coach, certainly appreciate your time again, sir.
Yep, thanks for having me.
This is Kirby's Kickoff, and we are back with more right after this. Guys, Josh Kirby here with my friends at Frederick County Parks and Recreation, the title sponsor of Kirby on Sports. Winter basketball, one of their most exciting sports leagues, tipping off here soon. Registration is open until November 10th. The Thanksgiving Day 5K, one of the biggest races of the year, and the New York City trip that Parks and Recreation offers each and every winter. If you're interested in any of those or even more activities that Parks and Recreation has to offer, you can visit their website at fcprd.net for more information. So glad you're with us. This is Kirby's Kickoff, powered by Frederick County Parks and Recreation. That about wraps it up for the Week 8 edition of Kirby's Kickoff. Again, thank you for your support. Thank you for taking time out of your day to catch Kirby's Kickoff. We're available on all streaming platforms. We are available on YouTube as well. Make sure you follow us, give us a like, comment, and subscribe to us as well. Check out all of our work at www.kirbyonsports.com. Until week 9, I hope you take the time, get out to a nice football game, a lot of exciting matchups, and tune in to us prior so you get a little bit more information going into the matchup that you will be tuning into. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in to the Week 8 edition of Kirby's Kickoff, and we will catch you next week. Have a great rest of your weekend.